Hey everybody, welcome back to some more early morning barking, talking about BPD and MPD by somebody that has both. Been on a bit of a journey today. So I don't know if you know this, but when you have a YouTube channel, there is within like the inner workings of a YouTube channel, something Google refer to as the research section. And that allows you to sort of put in a topic and find out what people are searching for around that topic. The idea being that you can make a YouTube video based around what people are actually searching for and that sort of thing. It's a good idea. And I use it from time to time. I should maybe use it a little bit more, but here we are. And I went onto it today, and you type in BPD or borderline personality disorder, whatever you want to make a video about. And it pops up, this is what people are watching, this kind of thing. This is what people are searching for, all that stuff. And today's suggestions were all about the positive traits of BPD. Think of all the different YouTubey, internety ways you can phrase that. All the positive BPD traits you didn't know about, or here are the 5 best traits of BPD. All that junk. And there's loads of them. And then when you start doing a bit more research and you start generally looking on the internet for stuff, there are millions of blog posts all about the positive effects of BPD. Yeah. And so I started reading. And let me tell you, positive effects of BPD are somewhat thin on the ground. I sat down to make a video today with the intention of giving you, here are the 5 positive traits of BPD. And the truth is, I can't really find one. You look at these blog posts, you look at these YouTube videos, and they all say the same 5, 6, 7, 8 things, right? We're empathic, we're loyal, we're protective, we're, passionate and caring and all these different things, which to an extent is true. I get that, and I understand why they've written it. These are sort of the slight something good when you squint really hard and look at it in the right way kind of traits that can sort of come out of BPD. Fiercely loyal. Well, you could say fiercely loyal. You could also say deathly scared of being abandoned. It equates to the same thing. You get a friend that is very difficult to lose, but at the same time, that's not always a good thing. I mean, this depends like how far you are along with getting over and learning to live with BPD. If you're just diagnosed and completely untreated, then none of the things that people write about will affect you. Right? Watch yesterday's video about the 5 things people would like you to know about your BPD friend. I talk about the loyalty, and it's like, yeah, we're loyal and all of that to a point. And we can split and we can do all these other things and fall out with you over basically nothing. You pick a thing, right? I mean, these positive traits, they're all a bit like, one positive trait of losing a leg is mild weight loss. One positive trait of your head falling off is you don't have to worry about hats anymore. You can put a positive slant on anything you want, right? If you just ignore all the complicated stuff that's going on behind it. And I understand the desire to do this, right? We're stuck with this condition, and we're all managing it at varying different levels. We're all getting on with it. And it's hard, and it hurts, and it's unpleasant sometimes. And if someone could come along and write something that's saying, no, these aren't problems, these are superpowers, then of course we're going to look into that. Of course we're going to read that, And it's not just BPD it happens with. There's plenty of articles and videos about ADHD superpowers and, NPD like you pick a mental health condition, you'll find a video and a blog post about the positive traits of that thing. And I get that it sort of makes it a little easier, perhaps. Maybe if you're, I don't know, if you're newly diagnosed and people are going through a bit of panic, maybe it helps to have something there that says, oh, it's not all bad. But the truth is, it's all bad, right? This is all not something that I would like to live with if I'd had the choice. Thank you very much. And so I can't help but feel that these videos are made and these blog posts are made by people who haven't lived through this. Because as someone who has lived through it, I feel far less inclined to put a positive slant on these things than other people. Right? It seems like it's a defense mechanism. Like, I'm not that bad. Look, I can be loyal. Look, I can be empathic. Look, I can be sensitive to your emotions and all of this sort of thing. Yeah, technically, we can do that, but I don't know how we're going to do that in a way that is beneficial to other people or us. We're good listeners. That's one. That was the closest thing that came out of it to being a real thing. That, you know, people with BPD are very introspective, very empathic. If you're feeling low or sad, they can sit and talk to you about it, whatever. And yeah, I guess. But is sitting and talking to people a superpower? I feel like we're trying to get something out of nothing here. So why mention this at all? First of all, I kind of don't want people thinking this isn't as bad as it is. Right? I guess we're talking about the uninitiated here. You know, what if people who don't know about borderline personality disorder are stumbling over these blog posts and videos and thinking, well, you know, it's not that bad. Like if you were going to, if you just met someone with BPD and you wanted to know all about it and you went looking for it and you found these blog posts about how fiercely loyal and empathic and sensitive they are and caring and protect, maybe you're thinking, well, hey, great. And then in a few months will come the nightmare when the reality hits home. I guess at a push, I would allow some of these traits to be applied to people who are very down the road with it. You know, my level and beyond. People who've lived with this for years, who've had all the therapy, who know all the tricks of the trade, so to speak, then maybe I could make the case of, yeah, I'm very sensitive to your needs, I'm very empathic, because I know that I'm not going to split and go nuts on somebody because I've done the training. But it's not a great thing to start putting out there in the world. You know? And second of all, to people who do have BPD, the biggest message I've tried to send you since we started making videos, is that this can get better. I'm better than I was. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't better than I was. I am so significantly better than I was. It is just ridiculous. It is immeasurable. And I'm not special. I'm not better than you. I didn't get secret treatment. I didn't get a medication that you haven't heard of that finally worked for me or anything like that. I went to therapy. I kept going to therapy for 3 years plus. And now I don't suffer as much. Not at all. There's things I have to take into account. There's things I have to be aware of. Kind of just had a shaky few days here. But it didn't end how it used to end. It didn't go how it used to go. My life is not in tatters. I've not had the police round. I've not had to write a letter of apology. I haven't been on the news. And this gets better. So if you want to feel better about the condition you find yourself with, then the best thing to do something about that is to actually do something about that. And what I would hate for you to find yourself thinking is that there's no way out of this, but at least here are these positive traits. At least I'm sensitive to people's needs. At least I'm creative and all of that sort of thing. I did stumble upon a few that were ludicrous. You know, there was one insisting that people with BPD are generally more attractive. And, you know, I can't help but skew the curve on that one a little bit, but there's no scientific backing on that one. There was one claiming people with BPD have, on average, a higher IQ. And again, you know, we're just mentally ill people. Some of us are very clever. Some of us are not. We're just a mix of people, but there seems to be no correlation between sort of general intelligence and BPD, or indeed sexiness and BPD. I think the sexiness comes with the MPD, but you know, that's just me. Anyway, I hope that's been useful and informative, as I try to be. You get the like and subscribe buttons down below. I'm going to do the pointing randomly thing. And visit me on Patreon, support the website, support the channel. This is a channel, not a website, but support it. Patreon.com/earlymorningbarking, or hit the YouTube membership button below. And don't forget, what was it? No, podcast. I do a podcast. You should listen to that as well. It's on YouTube. If you subscribed on here, you'll probably find it. But it's on Spotify and iTunes and everywhere else you'll find fantastic podcast aggregated. You take care. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.